Everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is Eddie Campos with Remax Preferred Associates, and this is Coffee with Eddie. And this is my friend from Washington Local Schools, my old stomping grounds, Kadee Anstadt. Kadee, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
So, sports athletics, there's a lot of contact sports, football, wrestling. How are things different now?
So football, we made it through the season. Our playoff game where our kids just showed a ton of grit on Friday night was our last game, but man, they played hard. So that was our last game, and I am really grateful that we got through the season without incident for football. And that was not without a lot of effort. Our coaches that's a lot of extra time. It's a lot of new procedures to spread kids out, not share water bottles, not huddle, wear masks, all that. So we're heading into winter sports now, of course. Those will be a little more challenging because they're indoors. And we know that as soon as people come indoors, we tend to see this thing spread a little more. So we're, again, all the same procedures. Volleyball was similar to that in the fall, so we're looking at those rules for volleyball and kind of putting them into play for basketball, for wrestling. Wrestling is going to be tough. It is. Swimming is going to be tough because there aren't facilities open, right? So there's still some things that are, and we don't have any guidance yet from OHSAA, so we're still waiting on that, but we're kind of following the rules that we followed so far for volleyball.
So I've never in my entire life heard a school superintendent say, we have too much money. So how do schools cope with this? It's not like there was just a ton of extra money probably sitting around to take care of, protection systems and sanitary solutions and extra cleaning. And so how does all that get addressed for schools?
So it's been a rough few months here, right? So there was some federal money and also some state allocation. The USDA, one thing that I get a lot of questions on our meal program, and that is completely covered by USDA. That's not Washington local taxpayer money. That is federal money that is set aside for school breakfast and lunch. So
is that unique to Washington local?
No, absolutely not. So all kids in Ohio right now have access to free breakfast and free lunch. The way different districts distribute it is what's unique. So some do it like we do, and they distribute a few meals at a time, others day by day. So that's not unique. There was some grant and some CARES money that came. I think for us, this is such an unknown. So to say, we're going to spend it all here and then, and not have any 3 months from now when we might really need it. What we knew right away, Eddie, was that we needed technology in every child's hand. And one of the reasons that we came back to school probably a little earlier, maybe a couple weeks earlier than I would have liked from a community standpoint and what everybody else was doing, was we had 300 families without a single device in their home. So we had ordered over 1,700 devices in the spring, and of course, everyone else did too. And so, the slow boat that comes over just was not moving very quickly. And so we did not get them in time for school to start. So when we started school, when we got, we did our slow roll. So we had 25% of our kids attending. We were getting to know our students, which I would do every year. Every teacher loved the way we started school this year. They feel like they know their kids better than they ever have before. But we knew we had to get devices into kids' hands, and we just couldn't do it. We couldn't get the devices here fast enough. So like I said, we started to roll in a little more quickly, which we've done pretty much without incident. So I'm grateful for. Those devices are starting to slowly roll in now. We spent a lot of our CARES funding on devices for kids and also devices for teachers, because when our teachers got trapped at home last year, their devices were in their classrooms on a network.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, right. So remember, we can't take those home because they're on a network. So that's a really important step for us too. And providing a lot of professional development for teachers, just in case we end up fully remote again. We've spent a lot of money this year on bringing the very best trainers and coaches in to help our teachers learn what's different in a virtual environment and how to engage kids in a remote environment.
Well, I know that you're always busy, and it's not like you didn't have anything to do before this started. What big things are on the horizon for Washington local schools that you're still working on?
So we're still rebuilding, right? So we have 2 building projects that are on schedule. Believe it or not, throughout COVID, When we talked a few months ago, we were just kind of getting that process rolling.
Right.
We're right on schedule. So right now we're getting ready to send our final plans off to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission for 2 buildings. If you go to our website, you can actually do kind of a virtual fly through of the new Werner Jackman building. We're out with a campaign right now to rename Werner Jackman as we're combining 2 school communities. A lot of people have said, it's a fresh start. We need a fresh name, a fresh mascot. I've seen some people try to morph the mascot together. We shouldn't do that. It's a bee and a wildcat. It just doesn't, no, it's not working so well. So we've got a renaming campaign going on. And you know what, Eddie, the other thing that I'm really excited about is we're just finalizing our initial interviews on starting a schools foundation. Believe it or not, Washington Local has never had a schools foundation. So as we talk about needing money and being out there, there's probably not a richer alumni base. And I don't mean rich wealthy. I mean rich with school spirit.
Sure.
There's probably not a better, maybe I'll put it that way, a better alumni base than Washington Local, than Whitmer grads. Anytime I meet a Whitmer grad, they tell me also where they went to elementary school. Like, I went to Shoreland and I'm a Whitmer grad. So that Schools Foundation, we're very close to launching it. We've been doing a lot of interviews with alumni, starting to put together a board, file our 501c3 paperwork, and we're this close to being able to launch that. And I think that'll help us communicate with our alumni so much better. When there's a reunion, it'll help us communicate with those graduates, because I think everybody that's graduated from Whitmer really wants to keep in the know about what's going on in Washington Local, and that foundation will give us a base to do that. So we're really excited about that too. That's
really awesome. So that foundation, is it going to be just school oriented, or is it going to be athletics oriented? Is there any direction as far as that's concerned?
Athletics and academics. So we have a very strong arts program here as well. We have a lot of people that are, very interested in the academic side. I would say, a lot of people have reached out to me during this time and said, if you've got kids that are in need, I want to be there to help. And that foundation will have something like a Washington Local experience. So if you're worried about certain students that might not get the full experience here at Washington Local, you'll have the ability to kind of feed into that as a graduate or just as a community member. And then, of course, we have a very, very strong athletic base here. But that doesn't set aside either of the other ones. Everybody has their niche here. If you were in the Whitmer band, if you were in Whitmer Orchestra, you want to be a part of that. So there should be something for everyone as we go out with these foundation plans.
Well, I think you'll still see my name on the wall somewhere in that band room in Whitmer High School. So I'm glad to hear that they're going to be able to get some funding as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Best darn band in the land.
That's right.
In the land. Yeah.
That's right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to take some time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us. I really appreciate it. I wish you guys the best. I know that this has been challenging, but if anybody can do this, it's Panther Nation.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Kadee, thanks for spending some time with us, and thanks for tuning in to us on Coffee with Eddie, and we'll talk to you next month. Bye-bye.
Stay well.